to Dan's Drum Clinics with Dan Schinder as your lovely host. Many styles, all levels, get results. Today's clinic is Drum Talk with Phillip Gelb.
You're watching Dan's Drum Clinics. Thank you very much for joining me, and I am here with someone very special to Dan's Drum Clinics, Phillip Gelb from Phoenix Drum Company, who is now in the process of making my new special kit that you'll see on the clinics when it's done. In the meantime, I am here on location, as we say, in Scottsdale, Arizona, in Phillip's showroom, playing his, pretty much this is your trademark kit right here. This is your benchmark kit, isn't it?
It is.
And it's going to be really exciting. The next few clinics that you'll see me post will be done right here in this room on this kit. I'm so excited about this because I've had a chance to finally play your brand of drums in person. And I say brand of drums because they have a name, and you've branded the drums with the logo and everything. But it really is, to me anyways, like each drum set that Phillip makes is like a custom kit in a way. But before you get more into the proprietary properties of your drums, I'd like you to tell everybody what made you decide to start Phoenix Drum Company. What made you go from, I know, and you could elaborate, but I know you used to build really nice homes and now you're building drums. What happened?
Well, you know, the old saying is that one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
I was a real estate developer. I was building luxury custom homes in Florida and Arizona, and we were also building commercial office condos. And when the market was good, it was great, and it was a lot of fun. I did it for a long time, and I enjoyed it. And when the real estate recession hit, I had to make a decision. Was I going to tough out the recession, or was I going to look for something else to do?
Right.
And I've always had a passion for music. I've been a drummer since I've been 10. And I really
so about 10 years, you've been playing about 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. Dan's a great politician. And I've always had a great passion for music, and I'm kind of a equipment buff and a
You're a gadget guy.
I'm a gadget guy.
Yeah.
You know, I love building things and inventing things, and I've always been into inventing and working with designers and engineers and architects. Right. And I've always wanted to push the envelope. And being a drummer, you know, it's kind of the necessity is the mother of invention. And as a drummer, you know, you get used to working with hardwares and stands and doing different things and getting things to work. Right. And over the years, I've kind of looked at the way drums were built and designed and the way hardware is designed. And there's some great stuff out there, but I think there's room for improvement in certain areas, and there's better stuff ahead. And it keeps getting better every year, I have to say.
Right.
And certain things haven't changed in years, and you kind of scratch your head and wonder why. Well, now I have an opportunity to do that and explore that, and we've done that with some of the proprietary stuff that we're doing here at Phoenix Drum Company. And also, one of the priorities with Phoenix Drum Company is the fact that we're American-made.
We are at a point in the world now where that says a lot about craftsmanship. You know, there's a lot of stuff that people do have to say about certain things that are made in America and everything, who don't live in America and have a certain view of America. But a lot of things have changed. We've seen it change with the car manufacturers. There's a lot of pride in the cars that are made here and everything.
Well, I feel that, you know, the American economy needs help. And I know we're a global economy, and like you said, there's lots of great products that are made all over the world, but I would like to help our country. And I also would like to help people that have been displaced in the construction industry. Right. And the people that, you know, we hired Phoenix Drum Company are craftsmen that came from that industry, and they're just going to shift over, you know, into what we do. Right. And I feel that you know, we need to take the market share back from the foreign markets. You know, America's had some great drum companies that came out of America, everything from Ludwig to Rogers to Slingerland. And in recent times, meaning the last 40 years, you know, DW came on the scene, which they do a great job with their hardware and drums, and they've come a long way in 40 years. And you know, from the time I started drumming, I was always a Ludwig guy. Yeah. You know, I used to obviously watch Ringo Starr and John Bonham and Alan White and all those guys, and Peter Criss from Kiss, and I always admired those guys. And you know, I've only had Ludwig sets since the time I've been young, and I know they ended up losing a market share. And I wanted to go back to the days when it was really, really well made. And we're kind of Phoenix Drum Company is kind of, it's an Americana theme, and it's kind of old school meets new school.
Right.
Old school means, you know, the craftsmanship and the quality and
attention to detail. There's a lot of in his product. Yeah,
attention to detail and incredible finishes and quality. And the other thing is too, I've always had a passion for cars and motorcycles. So I kind of wanted to carry that theme over into our drums as well. And all our painted finishes are actually painted in a body shop by a auto body person.
That's cool.
And in the spray booths, and he does a great job. And we also use automobile finishes. Like the finish that you're looking at here was actually started out as Lexus Pearl White, and then we actually added additional pearlescence to it so that it would give it a better effect underneath the lights, you know, for shows and things like that. And this was the kit that I chose to build for my showroom. I always wanted to have a white kit ever since I saw Phil Collins play a white kit now in white, as I mentioned earlier, and kind of wanted to do that. The name Phoenix Drum Company, I know we talked about this before, has special significance to me. You know, as I was sitting contemplating what I wanted to do for my next career when I grew up, you know. I figure if I couldn't be a rock star, I wanted to work with them.
Right.
But what I was thinking was that since I live in Arizona and I enjoy the Phoenix Scottsdale area, you know, I was thinking about a name for the company, and I kind of had my flux capacitor moment, and Phoenix Drum Company came to mind. And our acronym for Phoenix Drum Company happens to be PDC, which is also near and dear to my heart because it stands for my name, which is Phillip, and my sons Connor and Devin, which will hopefully, the company will be theirs eventually someday. And also the significance of the phoenix bird, which from mythology, the phoenix bird rises up from the ashes. Well, you know, coming from one career and recreating a new career, there was a significance there for me.
Yeah, you reinvented yourself.
Reinvented myself, and you know, and again, referring to what's going on in the world and the economy, you know, it's nice to see that entrepreneurial spirit is alive, and this actually happens to be the best time to start a new company. And if you look back on history, some of the largest, most successful companies started in recessions.
Yeah, and you know, I want to also touch on something Philip mentioned earlier regarding, you know, U.S. made and a global economy. So far as we're talking today in the middle of July of 2012, there's people from 54 countries following my drum clinics, which blows my mind. I mean, honestly, how many people can just sit and rattle off the names of 54 countries off the top of their head? And while we talk about we want to affect the U.S. economy and everything, every economy of each country does contribute to the global economy. You know, if you're in Italy and you order a Hammer cymbal or a Phoenix Drum Company snare, it's going to help pay the salary of the UPS guy that brings it to your house or your office in Italy. Same thing with Japan or Mesopotamia or Bulgaria or wherever you are. When we all buy things from each other, you're not just helping the root country of where you bought it from, you're helping your local country because someone's got to bring it to you. Someone's got to process the transaction. You know, it trickles down sideways or up, however you want to put it. And it's not just that we are not saying these are U.S. companies and it's going to help the U.S. economy and it stops there. The global economy affects and is generated by everybody, really.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's 30 million people in the United States, and the best way for a global economy to work is to have balance and equity.
Right.
And for each country to be successful and successfully trade with one another. I mean, we're huge global consumers, and we just like to get it to balance where one hand washes the other, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, our economy's broke right now, as are several countries in the world.
Right. And
we just want to contribute and help fix it.
Now, I want to get into something really interesting that after working with Philip on the design of my new kit and my new one-of-a-kind so far hammered brass snare drum, something that's been intriguing me the whole time, and that people are asking me a lot about online, and quite frankly, I haven't been able to articulate it confidently enough. So now I'm finally sitting with you. I want you to tell everybody what are the main construction differences about PDC drums, but also explain the ghost port explain what the Ghost Port is. And while Phil's talking about it, you can see pictures of it, but what's up with this thing? How did it come about? How is it the main attribute to your drum design, and what is the biggest effect it has on the sound we hear and that they're going to hear when I play your kit?
Well, I would love to tell you about it, but you really need top security clearance.
Should I go out of the room while you tell them?
No, it's okay. I trust you.
Okay.
No, our patented Ghost Port is something that I'm very excited about, and that was probably my second flux capacitor moment in my life. Basically, we're made up of all the experiences that we have in life and the people we come in contact with, and most of my family were either into real estate or into music. I have a brother and a sister that are musicians as well, but they also are into home entertainment, home automation. So I've been kind of an audiophile since I've been a kid. I've been exposed to love stereo equipment and speakers and things like that. And one of the big problems with drums, whether you're in a live situation or you're in a recording studio, is overtones from the drums, from the snare drums, from
harmonics,
the
and ringing,
and all those things. And if you look through a catalog and you see all the fixes that are out there to deal with that problem, and most of those fixes they help, but they're really band-aids, and they choke the drums and they don't allow the drums to be drums.
Right.
And what I from my own life experience, I drew some correlations between drums and speakers. And basically, you know, in a speaker you have a speaker cone, and one of the things that helps a speaker make sound is movement of air.
Right.
And the thing that drives the speaker is the electric current.
Right.
Okay. Well, on drums, when we're making sound with our drums, the drum heads are also pushing air. Right. And instead of using electricity, the drummers are driving the drums.
Right. We are the lightning.
We are the lightning.
Behind the thunder.
Exactly. Now, what I extrapolated from that was that some of the better speaker manufacturers, they've done this for years. They've actually ported their speakers.
Right. Right.
And there's a definite science behind the porting. And I was thinking to myself, well, why not, you know, port the drums? And so I started experimenting with different designs and different and trying different things, and it took me a while to come up with a design that I felt was really effective, and I was actually pleasantly surprised with the results. I knew that it would do eventually what I wanted it to do, but it's actually outperformed all my expectations. I'm really, really excited about it. We have a patent on the Phoenix Drum Company Ghost Port, and all of our drums, our wood drums, our toms, are all built with the Ghost Port. And our snares, we offer that as an option.
And it's a good option. Wait, if you haven't heard my hammered brass snare, wait till you hear it. It's set up with this kit right now. And even if you have heard it before, you're going to hear me do some things quite different than I've done on previous clinics with it. So it's a great option. I can't imagine not having it if it's an option.
Well, thank you. I mean, the personal snares that I built for myself now, they all have it. I enjoy it. I like it. You know, basically for years, drummers have cut holes in the front of their bass drum heads to try to get rid of some of the overtones.
Or like me, just take the whole thing off.
Or take it
so
off.
The whole thing. But I haven't had a front bass drum head on my Big Blue kit in probably, I want to say 30 years, maybe, something like that.
Wow.
Since 1982, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
Wow. And it is. I mean, I know engineers in music studios have been plagued with this problem for years.
Right.
I know there's gels on the market. You know, there's internal mufflers that were on some of the older drums. Yeah. People have taken felt or duct tape.
I used to use my wallet on the snare in the studio.
Kenny Ornoff does that.
Really? Well,
yeah, he still does that.
But like Philip says, all these things, they may rectify the problem, but then they create all kinds of other problems, even if that one thing is taking away the absolute personality of the drum instead of just taking away what you're trying to do with those things. That's what I've noticed with the gels and the wallet and tape and the you know, the rings that people are using. They do something, but what I have found in playing these drums is that the Ghost Port gets rid of those issues and not only allows the drum its personality, but gives the drum its personality, as they'll hear on this kit.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's amazing.
You know, I can't tell you how many articles I've read where professional drummers say they tune their drums, they want their drums wide open. Well, you know, with the Ghost Port, all bets are off. I mean, you just, the drums come out of the box, they're tuned, they're ready to go. You can go to the studio, you can go live, and they're wide open. They are what they are. And the personality is great. They sound fat, they sound good, and you don't get that overtone and that twang, that really undesirable twang. Yeah. And really, but there is real science and physics behind the development of this device and why it works. You know, through history, if you look, there are other snare drums on the market. Other people have actually drilled holes and they've ported drums. And Ludwig actually made a Coliseum drum for a while, where the whole center section was missing, and things like that. But the reason that our Ghost Port works is because of the shape and the size and the design.
Relative to the shape and size of the drum, correct?
Exactly. And the position where we put it in the drum. I mean, there's a method to our madness, actually, you know. And what it does is, as you strike the batter head, it pushes air. And the air pushes down, and the air forces the resonant head. And then that resonant head reacts, and it's flexible, it's mylar, and it pushes back. And when that pushes back on the other one, if there's so much air being moved inside the drum at the time, and it doesn't have enough room to escape, or it doesn't have a way to channel the sound frequencies, it pushes back on that batter head, which creates some of that noise and that vibration that's undesirable, that you don't want.
Right. The overtones,
not
things,
right, and
because it's got to go somewhere. That's the thing. And if it's only got the other head to push back up against, that's where it goes.
It's got to go somewhere. But what our port does, in the way that it's designed, it actually takes those sound waves and rearranges them in such a way where it allows the air to circulate and move through the drum. It allows the sound waves to escape the drum, and it actually makes room for the new notes that are being played, so you get that distinct clarity inside the drum. And you know, the material and the composition of what the Ghost Port is made out of, the texture, everything impacts the sound of the drum and why it does what it does. One of the byproducts of you know, on the metal snares that we found with the Ghost Port is you can push it and get more volume if you want. They're very, very articulate. It's a matter of dynamics. But if you need to push the drum in a rock and roll situation, or a situation where you're playing live and you need that volume, it's there. It's punchy. You know, especially the 6.5. But I've actually taken my 5-inch snare drums, which are I have aluminum versions, and I also have brass versions of the 5-inch, and I've ported those, and they're beasts. They're you know, for the size, it's really deceiving. They still are articulate, but again, when you push them, it seems to bring out the characteristic of the material that the drum is made out of. You know, aluminum has a different sound and feel than brass.
Right, different density. They're completely different alloys. Yeah, versus wood too, and different woods, of course, would produce the same thing because of the densities and just how the fibers are.
Exactly. And one of the other things that we do that's proprietary to Phoenix Drum Company with our metal drums, our aluminum, and our brass drums, is we have a patented scientific process that we do, and it actually makes it a proprietary element. It actually takes the element and does some molecular changes to it. I can't really elaborate on it, so my attorney would get upset with me. But
we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. But it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference, you know. And some of the other things that we do, we go to great lengths we have special gaskets that we use on everything, and they last a lifetime. But we want to isolate the shell as much as possible and allow it to resonate and get as much clarity. That's why we use our tube lugs, because there's a minimal amount of shell contact. Right. We use isolation mounts on the toms, which are a huge contributing factor to allowing the drum to sing and resonate and be what it's meant to be.
Now, something else that people have been asking me online is who would be, other than me, of course, who would be some of the distinguished drummers that use Phoenix Drum Company drums, besides me?
Well, right now we're working with a couple of clinicians, online clinicians, yourself and JS. We're working with out of Connecticut, which we're excited about working with both of you guys.
Absolutely.
We're actually in negotiations. We have some very, very famous drummers. They're actually using our drums right now, and we're kind of working out the final details. And I'll announce that at a later date, or I'll let you announce it on your clinics.
Cool. What are their names?
Very good. Very slick. No, I can't tell you right now, but when I tell you, you'll all know who they are. They're great players, and I'm really excited to be working with them. They're total gentlemen, musicians, and
awesome.
Great guys, and
well, they're drummers. What else would you expect?
That's right. It's a brotherhood.
Very cool.
And I hope to be able to tell you about it soon. We made some custom drums for them too. They're really cool.
Great. And I know there's someone big locally that you work with that everyone will know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the things beside creating jobs and keeping the company in the United States is music education for kids and adults, and we're a big proponent of that. We're involved with some of the music schools around here, and one of the organizations that we're involved with and we believe in greatly is Alice Cooper's Solid Rock Foundation.
That's so cool.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
we're happy to be working with those guys, and we'll be assisting and helping them in any way that we can. We actually built a custom special edition snare drum for one of the charity events that they had, a golf tournament, which was kind of interesting. It was a lot of fun to work on that project. And there's another organization here called Rock and Roll High School, which we're working with, and actually starting to work with some of the charter schools in the Phoenix area too. So we want to foster that as much as possible and help these organizations out, get them some equipment for the kids, and just keep the kids educated, with online clinics and things like that. And being a musician, if you can grow as a musician and continue to get good material and get educated, there's a good chance that you're going to stay with the instrument. You're not going to quit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think everybody knows that if a kid plays an instrument at the age of being a kid, it does help their school studies too. Usually it helps them develop a discipline for practicing and studying go hand in hand. So kids that are in band and stuff at school tend to get better grades, and it also gives them something else to do rather than things that might get them into trouble.
Yeah, they've actually done studies. It boosts their IQ if they start at a young age. Reading music and having to learn how to play with other musicians is also very important.
Yeah, I must have fallen through that crack. I started at 7, and I'm not so sure it helped my IQ. But or maybe I'm just on the downside of the curve now that I'm at the age I'm at. I don't know. Something else that I want you to just give a little hint at, because we're going to, when I come back to Phoenix, we're going to do a whole different clinic on the next subject. I was going to ask, where does Phillip see Phoenix Drum Company going in the future? And one of those things I know about because he asked me to be associated with, and that is that Phillip and a couple other associates are very interested in the ergonomics of drummers. Phillip and I, one of the things we realized we had in common when we first started talking on the phone is that we're very much into health and fitness and things like that. I am certainly by no means, I'm not a big guy, but I'm in really good shape. I've run and swim almost every day for the last at least 15 years. I'm 5'7.5". Hopefully I weigh about 165. I can leg press 700 pounds.
Wow.
I can ride a bike. I can jog for miles and miles and miles without being winded. I've never smoked cigarettes. I have an amazing stamina for someone my size and my age, quite frankly, to be able to play the drums for hours and not be really winded. So aside from the respiratory and circulatory aspects of health, we're also very into the ergonomics and posturing and things like that. And why don't you tell them a little bit about the new association that's being started and some of the things you're interested in, but just a hint, because I want to do a whole separate film on this sometime.
Okay. We're actually, I have a very good friend that's also in this industry that manufactures drum thrones, and his drum thrones are very beneficial for not only your back and your spine and your prostate, and it's actually it's called the Carmichael throne, and he designs office seating as well. And we came up with this concept that drummers need a resource where they can go and they can learn about these products that actually help the longevity of your drumming career,
right,
and the span of your health and your physicality, because it's a very physical instrument.
It is,
and you're seated for so much of the time, right? And there's other products out there. Phoenix Drum Company is going to be manufacturing a product that's also very, very beneficial as well. So we're actually starting an organization. It's called the Ergonomic Drummers Association, which Dan and Jay are also going to be a big part of this organization. And we're going to bring you articles and information and products, and we're going to invite other manufacturers that make products that make your life as a drummer easier.
We're going to do clinics on setting up, considering different ways to set up your drum set. And Philip and I were talking earlier, again, when I got here and we were setting up for this, that what's unique about playing the drums and drum sets is it's not like if I have a Fender Strat and you have a Fender Strat and we switch guitars, it's not going to be much different. The strings might be a little different. The action might be a little bit different. But what's fun for me about traveling around and going to different places, like here, I was in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago, I'll be in San Diego next week, playing all these different drum kits, is there's no two drum kits set up the same. Even if we had the same cymbal sizes, the same drum amounts and sizes, we all set up differently because there's a couple reasons. Most of the reason is we don't know how to set them up properly for our health. That's one reason.
Right.
And we're going to do some clinics on that, some things to consider on how to rearrange things for you based on your height, your length, your arms. Philip and I, our physiology is completely different, but I'm going to sit down at his set. Basically, the way he's got it set up, I moved a couple little things earlier, and that's what's different. So it's important for you to know whether or not your drums are set up properly. And when I say properly, we used to say, I'm sure, there's no right or wrong way, whatever works for you. But when it comes to the ergonomics and health, joints in your hips and your lower back and the arches of your shoulders, your blades, it does matter where your stuff is set up. And it might feel strange at first, but you'll get used to it. The kit that we designed, that Phoenix Drum Company is building for me now, is completely a different setup than I've been playing for the last, since 1979, which is, this is being recorded, is 32, 33 years. And I'm excited about doing something completely different. It'll broaden my foundation as a drummer to play a completely different setup. So a lot of different sizes, different placement. I've never had a right cymbal over the bass drum on the right side. I've always had lots of toms all the way around me, and I've stripped everything down to just 3 hang toms, 2 floor toms. I still have 2 snares, and even they're different. And then the bass drum is a bit different. But the way I'll be seated and situated and where I put the cymbals is going to be with a whole different thought process, which will change the way I feel when I play, and even more importantly, the way I feel after I play. And it will also change my musical boundaries, I believe. I mean, if it's a good reference or testament at all, Neil Peart did this about 15 years ago or so. He got rid of the second kick drum. He put the ride cymbal over the bass drum. He got rid of a few drums, changed the way he sat and everything, because he felt like he wasn't doing anything new. Right. He felt like he had reached his limit, so he sat down at a different kit, basically. And I'm really excited about doing that, and I'm really excited about doing it with your drums. This is a really good thing that we're involved with, I think.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Neil Peart, because somebody like that, I mean, he's a master at what he does, and there's nothing wrong with his playing.
Right.
If he had an open enough mind to sit down with Freddie Gruber and rework these things, but the biggest thing that they talk about, and we'll get into it more, is called economy of motion. Yeah. And being more efficient behind the kit and having the stamina, and you'll be able to play longer, play faster, play with better ideas. Right. So we're really looking forward to getting more involved in that aspect of drumming and setup.
Absolutely. And even one last note on that I want to talk about, and we'll talk about this more in a couple clips, but I just want to mention it because I'm wearing them now. I think the way you dress to play is important also. You might not think so, but I think that it is. I have found from experience that it is. And that goes for both guys and girls. I've talked to some girls that are following my page for the clinics, and I'd like to have some female guest clinicians as well, because, again, physiology is different between a man and a woman, in lots of ways. If you're a female, I think it's important to wear a sports bra. Playing the drums is a workout. Even if you don't have a huge kit and you're not madly all over the place, it's still a workout and you're moving around. I think a sports bra is important. For guys, I've learned that wearing something like compression shorts that you might run in or ride a bicycle with is real important. is not only does it absorb moisture and help keep me dry, it doesn't cause itching or anything. I mean, not to get too graphic, but it does help that. But it also just kind of helps me keep together. I had a bad experience once. I used to I play in gym shorts, but now I wear these under them because my wife won't let me just sit around in these. She thinks people would have to pay to. Well, anyways, so I wear gym shorts, but I used to wear just boxer shorts with those. And I had a situation where I was playing the drums and moving around, and sometimes, you know, you don't pay attention enough and something goes sideways, and I hit myself in the groin with the back of my stick. And because there was nothing there like a supporter or anything keeping me together, there was way too much movement on that impact. I could hardly walk for 2 days. It was excruciating. It was painful. With compression shorts, if something like that happens, it's almost like you're flexing your muscle. And if someone flexes you, if you're flexing your muscle and someone hits you, there's not as much, you know, place for that to go. It's sort of the same thing. So it might sound silly, but I think it's important to be comfortable, but also to have some support. And that goes for the upper body too. I can't play in tight shirts unless it were maybe to be a compression shirt. But I buy shirts that are just a little bit too big for me. I wear sleeveless shirts when I play. That's just how I'm comfortable when I play. When I see guys wearing shirts and ties and they're playing, you know, I listen to a lot of jazz and swing music, my wife and I do, and we see videos, and I really admire a guy that's just flaring away behind the drums in a suit and tie. It just blows my mind. I don't know how Buddy and Louie and all those Gene, how do they do that?
I don't know.
I think they just, I don't want to say they didn't know any better, but they didn't know any better. They didn't know any different. Now it's more athletic, and there's such thing as athletic dress. And if you incorporate that and you're playing, you know, you're just a little more comfortable.
Well, footwear is important too.
Footwear, that's a very
what
big
you're wearing
one.
on your feet when you play. Some
Right.
drummers actually play barefoot.
Right.
And Sheila E. plays better in high heels than I play in sneakers. She plays better than I do anyway. She's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But
she looks a little better too.
Well, yeah,
playing.
of course. I saw her David Letterman. She was playing in high heels, and it just blew me away. It was
incredible.
Funny. Oh yeah, yeah.
But we're going to get more into EDA on some other clinics in the future. I got to ask you, if you had the opportunity to build a drum kit and hang out with that drummer in the studio and have them play your drums, any drummer, alive or dead, you get one pick, who would it be?
Well, it's funny because if I could do it with the dead drummers, I'd be in a different business, you know. But as far as drummers today, I have a lot of favorite drummers. There's a lot of great drummers out there that are my heroes and my influences. One of the drummers I really enjoy his drumming, and I try to emulate a lot, is Carter Buford from Dave Matthews Band.
Nice.
I love his playing. I think he's got incredible chops, great taste. You know, everything that he plays is so appropriate for the songs, and his dynamics are amazing, and his stamina just blows me away. I mean, those guys play for long periods of time, and he's like, on the last song, he looks as fresh as he is on the first song. And he's right on the money, and he's such a great timekeeper for that band. And they're so tight, they're just so intuitive that they all know where they're going, even though they go off on all these tangents. It's like they're just like, you know, been together so long.
You're right.
So yeah, that would probably be my first choice. I mean, also, you know, I'd have to mention Neil Peart, Phil Collins. Those guys are incredible.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of great drummers.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us, Philip and I, here on Dan's Drum Clinics. Thank you very much. And Philip, thank you so much for
pleasure.
everything.
Thanks for coming.
Sure.
Happy to have you. Looking forward to hearing you play.